So good morning everyone. For today's lecture, we are going to start with the next topic and the topic is parallel versus distributed computing. So in the last lecture, we have already seen this topic as individually, what is parallel computing and what is distributed computing. Now we are going to take a quick difference between the two to understand it in more better way. So if I talk about parallel computing, here there are going to be multiple processors and each processors are going to be given some task and at the end of the day, they are going to execute multiple tasks simultaneously. Okay, so that is all about parallel computing. What parallel itself is self-explanatory, which says that you are doing something parallel. So here there are going to be multiple processors. Here you are going to assign them some tasks and all the tasks are going to be executed simultaneously. In case of distributed computing, there will be network computers, there will be main server, and with that main server, there will be many sub-servers connected to each other. So all the data which is stored in the sub-server will be backup and saved in the main server as well. Okay, because in case if any of your sub-server goes down, it can easily back up by another server and the service should be provided. So here there is going to be a coordinated network. There are going to be synchronization and the technique which they are going to use to communicate with each other is message passing. So through message, the servers are going to communicate with each other and they are going to share their data or resources with each other. Second, number of computers required. So in case of parallel computing, you don't require much computer. It can be just one or two depending on how you want to execute it. In case of distributed computing, you require multiple computers because you have your many sub-servers. So here there are going to be network of computers in other words, where each of them are going to be connected to each other and they are going to be, at the end of the day, they are going to give services to the consumers over the internet. So here there are going to be multiple computers. You cannot count the numbers actually here because there are going to be many distributed computers. Okay. Simply here word distributed means what they are going to be located at different places or different locations and they're going to be communicated with or connected with the main server where the actual processing is going to take place. Next, third characteristic is processing mechanism. So here in case parallel computing, multiple processors are performing the processing. So there will be multiple computers there who are going to do the processing of the task. In distributed computing, computers are only the one who are going to do the processing, where the computers are going to reside on the distributed networks and the communication through which they are going to communicate with each other is message passing. So message passing is nothing but a technique where the computers are connecting to each other and they are communicating for the resources which they want. Next we have is synchronization. So in case of parallel computing, all the processors will share a single master clock for synchronization. There will be just one clock and using that one clock, it will become a reference to all the processes which are working there. In case of distributed, you can't expect that there will be a clock which is going to do the monitoring of different computing operations which are performed on the network. It is not possible. So here we use some synchronization algorithms which are going to give timestamps to each of the tasks you can say or each of the resources which are asked by your computers and accordingly within the time frame the services or the resources which are given to the sub-servers or your you can say clients is being noted. So here we are going to use synchronization algorithms. Okay, so here you don't have a clock because their computers are located distributed, right? So you cannot expect that you're going to have one clock on in distributed node. That is not possible at all. So for that, we use synchronization algorithms. Next characteristic we have is memory. So in parallel computing, there is usually a concept of shared memory or distributed memory, which you're going to look into the next topic ahead. Okay. So I'll just give you a small, what do we mean by that? Shared memory is something like there will be just one single memory which will be shared across the different processors, and distributed memory simply refers to that every processor will have their own memory and this is going to be distributed or shared with a main server from where the distribution will take place. So that is all about shared memory and distributed memory. We are going to look into this much detail in the next topic ahead. In distributed computing, each computer have their own memory. Here you cannot expect that you will share your memories and that is not possible. So every computer, every node will have their own memory through which they are going to store the data, they are going to process the data and the same data will be back on the main servers. Last characteristic is usage. So when I talk about parallel computing, it is beneficial when you want to perform multiple processing at a single point of time. You need to increase the scalability, to increase the performance. So that is something which is very much possible. Distributed computing is useful when you want to share the resources across the network in lesser time. You want to easily add some computers or nodes. You want to remove some computer nodes. So this is something which is very much possible and very much, easy for doing in case of distributed. Okay, so that was all about your parallel versus distributed computing. So the next topic which we are moving into is elements of parallel processing. Okay. So whenever if I talk about parallel processing, we need some hardware architectures as well. Okay. So here we are going to look into few of the core architectural with respect to your hardware which are required in case of parallel processing. So logically, if we talk about parallel processing hardware, we know there are definitely going to be CPUs, but it does working of the CPU basically depends upon how many number of instructions are going to be executed, what data streams are going to be processed. So this is something which is important, and accordingly the core elements of CPUs are being added as an hardware to the processors, or it is eliminated. So the number of instructions which are going to be processed is very much important in case of parallel processing. So you need to remember. So when we talk about elements of parallel processing, the computing systems are classified into four categories. The very first is single instruction, single data, which is also referred in short as SISD. Second, we have single instruction, multiple data, which is also referred as SIMD in short. Next, we have multiple instruction, single data, which is referred as MISD in short. And last is multiple instruction, multiple data, which is referred as MIMD in short. So these are the four computing systems which are mostly used when we talk about elements of parallel processing. The instructions which are going to be there, which are going to be processed in parallel processing, will have these four forms, or we're going to have these four categories. So let us take each of them in detail now. So the very first is single instruction, single data. Okay. So when I talk about single instruction, single data, itself is word is self-explanatory, which says that there is going to be only single instruction, and the processing of which is going to be take place over the data stream is going to be also single, because both of them in both the cases the single word is used. Okay. So here in this computing system, you are going to use uniprocessor machine, which will execute only single instruction at a single point of time over a single data stream. Okay. So here, whatever instructions which are going to be executed are going to be in sequential order. Okay. One by one, they are going to be executed. Okay. In initial days, in earlier days, these computers were referred as sequential computers, because here they used to process only one instruction at a single point of time and over the one data stream. This was very first, you can say, technique which has been come up when they have just thought of as a parallel computing, that how you have to execute. So for that, first you have to understand that how the instruction execution will take place, how the data stream will flow. So for just a basic understanding, or you can say just as a reference model, the first was come up with was SISD. Okay. So here, initial computers which were there, the conventional computers where multiprocessing was not much into the picture. In those cases, we used to come up with this type of computing system, that was SISD. So all the instructions, all the data used to be stored in the primary memory, which everybody knows about it. It is an internal memory. And most of the time, the primary memory usually has, a lesser memory size. That is why we always need a secondary memory. Okay. So the speed of processing element here is going to be very limited. The transfers which is going to be there will be usually internally taking place. And most of the example of this are your IBM PC, Macintosh, and workstation. This were the initial stages example. Okay. Now you don't consider. Now everything is, distributed in nature. Okay, so everything is now in distributed nature. Initially, it was not like that. So the very first category is single instruction, single data. Just simply remember this. It is a uniprocessor machine which will execute single instruction over a single data stream. That is okay. So this is a simple to understand that. Other meaning or other this type of computers were called as sequential computers. In the diagram also, you can see there is a data input and there is a data output. So there is a single instruction. There are not multiple instructions. So we are moving to the next. So the second category is single instruction, multiple data. So here we are going to have a multiprocessor machine, okay, that will execute same instruction on all the CPUs, but the difference here going to be there that data streams which are going to be there are going to be multiple data streams. Initially, we have a single data stream. There was just one stream to pass the data, share the data. But here you are going to have multiple streams. But the instructions which are going to be executed are going to be same on all the CPUs. Okay. But your operating mechanism, your processing mechanism will be through the different data streams. Okay. Mostly this type of machines are suitable when you want to perform any scientific computing where there is a lot of matrix or vectors operations that need to be performed. So all your mathematical operations when you have to be performed, where there are going to be vector type of data, where there are going to be multiple processing elements, then in that case, you will go with this type of mechanism, or you can say computing system. Okay. So usually here we process some sets of equations. So here they have just given an example of an equation here. Ci equals to Ai into Bi, just to know that here in this type of mechanism or in this type of computing technique, we are going to have processing elements, and here the data which is going to be there or data elements which are going to be there are going to be of vector type. So here you have to divide your elements into different multiple sets, and these multiple sets are going to be processed by your PE. P is nothing but processing elements. So the machine or the processor through which your data passes and you get the output is called as processing element. So you can see over your diagrams, you have your data inputs. Okay. Data inputs are going to be same in all the processor, but the output which is going to be there is going to be on different data streams. So when you want to process mathematical equations, you want to process any scientific equations or operations, in that case, you're going to use this type of system or computing mechanism where the same instruction are going to be executed on all the CPUs, but the stream which is going to be used for operation or for processing is going to be different. So the next third we have is multiple instructions and single data streams. Okay, so now this is, you can say somewhere or the other, it's the reverse, okay, of the last. So here you're going to have a multi-processor machine which is going to execute multiple instructions on different processing elements. Okay, but the operating which is going to be there will be on the same data set. Okay, I'll repeat again here. You're going to execute multiple instructions. There you're going to have your multi-processor system. Here they are going to execute different instructions on different PCs. Okay, different processing elements are going to be there. There are going to be multiple processors. Okay, but that same data set is going to be processed on each of them. Okay, so again, this kind of a you can say mechanism is used where you want to perform mathematical equations, where you want to perform intellectual exercise, where you want to do practical configurations. So mostly are going to do that, where you're going to give multiple instructions, and these multiple instructions are going to be processed on the single or the same operating environment or physical elements. So again, they have given some set of equations, that is sin x plus cos x plus tan x. They have given a mathematical equation where your instructions are multiple. You can see there are 3 instructions here. Okay, and now you're going to pass these 3 instructions, and you're going to get one data out of this multiple instructions, that whatever will be the answer, that is 1 or 0. Okay, so here you're going to have multiple instructions, and out of this multiple instructions, you're going to get just a single output, or here you can say, in other words, the processing is going to take place on the single data set, on the same data set which is working on. So this is your third category, that is multiple instructions and single data systems. So the last, that is fourth one we are going to look into, that is multiple instructions and multiple data systems. Okay. So here it is going to be a multi-processor machine which will execute multiple instructions, and the data sets which you are going to work is going to be again a multiple type. Okay. In initial methods which were seen, there were either single data sets, or either your instruction used to be single. So this was not the combination. So you can see this is the combination which is suited for any kind of application. Wherever you want to have multiple instructions and you want that executions to be processed at the same time, multiple instructions to be executed at the same times, and then we are going to go with this type of as a combination. Okay, so here in this, every processing elements will have a separate instructions, and they will have the separate data streams as well. Okay, so initially we didn't have such techniques, so here it is going to be truly, of proper computing environment. In other words, I can say, because here the multiprocessor technique is there. Here you have multiple instructions can be executed, and this mediums for executing can be multiple here as well. So you can see there is something a very true computing environment here, which will make your work to be done asynchronously. You don't need to synchronize it. You don't need to, look for it, or you need to wait for it. Here you can do the instructions quickly, and the processing will definitely going to be faster. So this type of computing system is classified into shared memory and distributed memory, like the way they are coupling the information to the main memory. So you can see there can be multiple data input 1, 2, n. Then you have your instruction stream that there are multiple processors up to n number, and the output can be different. Okay, so this you can say something like, a true parallel computing environment. Okay, where your task is divided amongst the different processors, and this processor are completing the task, and they are giving you the output. So this is in true sense a parallel computing architecture, you can say. Along with that, you can either have a shared memory, or either you can have a distributed memory. When you have a shared memory, there will be just one single memory shared across this processor. In case if you want to have a distributed memory, so every processor will have their own memory, and this own memory which every processor has will be it will be backed up by the main memory which will be there. Okay, so this is something which is in true sense a complete computing environment, or you can say a parallel computing environment, where you can have a multi-processor machines where your execution can be takes place with the multiple instructions over the multiple data sets. So this is your last, that is your fourth, multiple instruction, multiple data. For the next lecture, we are going to look into the topic, that is what are the approaches for parallel programming. Okay, so that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone.